Hello and welcome back to the Prosperity by Design podcast. I'm your host, Fallon. It's like Jimmy Fallon, but it's my first name. So I did this thing for today's episode where I wrote down on a piece of paper 3 topics that I really want to outline in today's episode because your girl has like 13 minutes left in my upload time frame for Buzzsprout, and I want to make the most of the time that I have left to upload. And of course, I'm okay with making longer episodes about this in the future, but I really wanted to dive deep today into, well, not super deep, but into these really important topics when it comes to money in your marketing. So today's kind of going to be like the first money episode, but it's not entirely just money. There's a lot to do with marketing in this episode as well. So I wanted to tell you that brief overview mostly because if I didn't write those 3 topics down on a piece of paper, then I wouldn't have a quick bulleted list that I can reference when I go to record this episode. So that is why I created that list. So let's dive right into it. So there's 3 topics here when it comes to money and marketing, and especially in terms of what you see online, on Instagram, on TikTok, on any online platform when it comes to coaching. These 3 things are really prevalent. And I had to write it down because I obviously have a lot of opinions on it and I have a lot to say about it. So I don't want to get carried away. And I want to make sure that it's really succinct for you to listen to and to absorb. So the first thing that I want to cover is that when coaches are using and they're relying on money to market their products, I have a very formed opinion on this. It's lazy marketing, okay? And it's lazy because it's an easy thing to go to get people to start to desire your products or your services. It's a lot harder in the beginning when you actually have to be addressing the problem that somebody is experiencing, or you actually have to be addressing the solution that they want to have, or you actually have to be marketing in a way that doesn't just highlight the amount of money that you've made in a month, a week, a day, a year, whatever. So when you actually have to create content and create education around a topic or a problem or a solution or a desire, it actually shows that you have been working on your craft for a while and you truly understand your ideal client, you truly understand your avatar, your audience members, whomever is there in your audience who is going to purchase your services or your products. And it's not just throwing out a number and being like, oh yeah, I've made this much money, I can help you make this much money too. Because at the end of the day, this kind of bleeds into topic number 2 here, which is the amount of money that you see being marketed to you is not always the correct amount of money. So topic number 2 is that $100,000 a month is not really real. It's fake marketing because they're not showing you how much money they spent in that month too. Obviously, if they have a Kajabi as a platform for their courses or their portals, they are putting out a minimum of $199 a month. Okay. That's going to be roughly $2,000, maybe a little bit more than that a year in expenses. Now, I'm not saying that, take $200 off $100,000 and that's, how much your net. But if you're paying for Kajabi, and if you're paying for an email marketing platform, and if you're paying for a VA, and if you're paying for an OBM, and if you're paying for an accountant or a CPA, you're probably paying $50,000 out. You're probably paying 50% of your $100K month out. Especially even if, this is definitely a different episode for a different day, but if you're going to be that coach that's like, oh, well, you should invest in a mentor because I invested in a mentor. I hope that your mentor's price is included in your expenses because that $222,222 that you're spending on a year's worth of mentorship is considered an expense. And when you make $100,000 in a month, yeah, okay, your Stripe might show 100,000 gross, but that's not your net. So that's fake marketing. And I want you to be aware of that, because like people think it's this like whole big dreamy thing. And, you know, in some cases it is. I'm not going to disagree there. That is entirely the case if your expenses have been considered already. So that would mean you're making $150,000 a month, right? Assuming a $50,000 expense. And you're going to say net profit is $100,000, right? But if you're saying I had $100K a month, and you're not talking about you're not distinguishing the difference between profits and expenses, then you're really not being honest and truthful and genuine with your audience. You're really just you're teasing them, and that's not really cool. That kind of plays into the third topic that I want to bring up here, which is money is not the end all be all in terms of success. Success is a subjective experience. Subjective in the sense that somebody's success might be as easy as having a house out in the country and calling it a day, having a pet, maybe a couple pets, being able to provide for their family, having a little extra leftover. Maybe success is like all of these luxury items, right? Like everybody has a different subjective experience of success and a different definition of success. And so when you're focusing so much on money, it really takes away from the genuine experience of what people are going to be getting with you, from you. You know, I could even take this a step further and talk about, is this something that you want people to intentionally be thinking about when they go to work with you, right? Like if all you're talking about is money all of the time, and you want, you know, a specific type of person to work with you who is a mom, right? Like maybe that mom isn't making that much money, or maybe that mom wants to make that much money, but maybe that mom doesn't have the same kind of handle on her time availability like you have, because you're not a mom, right? Like there's other things that you want to consider besides how much money somebody is making in their business, and in terms of like if they're going to be a good fit for you as a coach. And I think online it's become such a big thing about, oh, I make this much money, and it's like a fucking competition, and it's not a competition. Like if you really are to go down to the crux of business, you're here to solve a problem. What problem? I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I think money can solve a lot of different problems. But, like, what problem are you really solving when you say, oh, I can help you make $100,000? Like, what are you really getting at? Because the whole reason you got into business is bigger than money. Like, what you're doing is bigger than the money. And for whatever reason, the money is what people will use to get them where they want to go. But that's not why you got involved in it in the first place. And that's what's ruining it right now. Because what you're doing when you're focusing on money in your marketing and in your advertising like that is you're making it about the money, and it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about what you are capable of changing in somebody's life. It's about how you are going to be helping somebody solve a problem or a struggle that they are experiencing and helping them overcome that. It's not about the money. And the more you market the money, the more you make it about money. And the more you market money, the more internal issues people are going to have, because they're judging themselves, they're shaming themselves, they feel embarrassed, they feel like, what's the point of even showing up if I'm not even making this much money? And it's not about the money. And it really is such a shame that there continue to be people who make it about the money. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that having a different financial situation right now, even for myself, would be fucking great. But the reason why I get worked up about this is because of the very same reason why this is a point in this episode. When you start to stir up internal issues with people, and I don't really think that I have a whole lot of internal money issues. I see everything as abundant. There's plenty to go around. There's more than enough. Gold isn't even the standard to measure money by anymore. So it's like truly the potential for wealth is infinite. Okay. Like I honestly, truly believe those things. The reason why this is becoming an issue with me is because business is not about necessarily money. In a sense, it is about money, yes, but you get into it because you're looking to change somebody's life. You're looking to change the way that you go about something, and you can't change people's perspective when you play into the same fucking cookie cutter marketing about money. I think it's definitely worth a longer episode because I don't feel like I'm really getting to the crux of it right now because I didn't really develop out this last point. But it is touching on internal issues that are causing people to doubt themselves and to not want to show up in their own capacity and solve things in their own way and provide their own solution, because people are constantly looking outside of themselves when you're marketing with those money figures. They're looking outside of themselves for the answer, and that's not right. It's within you. The answer is within you. So that is just a little bit on that third topic. I think I definitely need to go deeper on it in another episode, but I'm closely approaching that 13 minutes. So I want to remind you about the review, remind you about the goodie box. I want to also remind you to share this podcast with your friends. I would so highly appreciate that so much. And I also want to remind you about the Seasons of Business membership that is going to be going on very, very soon. And I can't fucking wait for it. Seriously, my baby, like, coming to life. Not Penelope, but my pride and joy in terms of my business. So until then, I will I will talk to you on the next podcast. Bye. Thanks for tuning in.